Warming up for race 1 of the V8 Supercars here at Albert Park. Your commentators, Lee Diffie and Neil Crompton.
Thanks, Billy. We are looking forward to this first race of 3 over the weekend. Today is 10 laps, I should say. Tomorrow is 19 laps, the long one. And then Sunday, the third and final race, will be 10 laps as well. The Qantas V8 Supercars on track. 32 cars here at Albert Park, all ready to clean the off-season cobwebs out. A lot of new cars, new teams, and even some new drivers. And Todd Kelly, as Rusty pointed out, the new father, puts it on pole. What a way to start his year. And Jason Bright in his first performance at FPR alongside him. Scaife rebounds nicely, and Stephen Richards has been strong all weekend.
And looking further down the order, Marcus Ambrose in the Stone Brothers Racing Pertec Ford. Alongside him, Cameron McConville, then Garth Tander and Russell Ingall. Had a small starter motor problem with that car yesterday.
Radatich, as we heard from the Rat, great start, new time at Team Kiwi Racing. Craig Lowndes at 888. What can he come up with today?
Cars are on their warm-up lap.
Just saw Jamie Whincup on screen there. Neil, Jamie's had a solid start to his V8 Supercar career at the top level.
It's important to get started in the strongest possible fashion when you first bounce out at the beginning of the season. Jason Richards, David Bernard, Steve Ellery and Anthony Tratt. Tratty's had some very good testing in the last week or so, feeling pretty strong about it. Craig Baird, Alex Davidson, Mark Winterbottom, Brad Jones with a new sponsor in that team for 2005 in BOC Gases. Matthew White, Tony Longhurst back in the series in the second of the Team Dynamic cars. 32 cars, a full grid, maximum density lining up for this one. The first 10 lap, a non-championship round for today. Qantas V8 Supercars, and very interesting to see what's gone on in this category in the off-season. A lot of movement, more than in the recent past. Drivers shifting, engineers shifting, variations in commercial deals, a lot going on, a lot to talk about. Very strong performance yesterday by Jason Bright and Ford Performance Racing. Probably the most significant thing in that organisation is that John Russell has left the team, and Phil Keed, who was with Paul Wheel Racing and indeed Jason Bright's engineer last year, has gone across with him. And that's an important second half of that equation in many respects, Lee, because bringing Phil in means that Jason's got someone there that he knows he can trust. Phil understands Jason's language. They both know what they want from setup in the cars, and they've probably been able to transfer a lot of what they know to the brand new FPR car, and it's obviously worked very well.
They've made it happen, haven't they? Just a quick heads up, because it'll be challenging for us as well, folks, to pick the 2 HRT Commodores from the 2 HSV dealer team Commodores. And the 2 HRT ones, Todd Kelly, Mark Scaife, have the mobile one at the front of the car, and you'll notice that Rick Kelly, Garth Tander have the Bianchi cars at the front, and on the side there's some black livery on the side, but they're very, very close in their look. So it'll be a challenge for all of us to pick them out.
Yeah, I'll just wait for you to commit. I'll wait for you to commit, and then I'll just clean up the mess.
Oh, I hate it. I hate when that happens. But anyway, we'll do our best. It's Holden v Ford, 1 for 1 on the front row. Couldn't ask for it to be any better at the beginning of the year. Bright won 2 of the 3 here last year. And there is our poleman, Todd Kelly.
Brand new car. Looked like it had a lot of rake in it there, which means the relationship of the ride height at the rear of the car relative to the front, such that the back looked pretty high. Turn is very important on this racetrack. They may have done that to get the car to turn a little better. There's Jason Bright, new name on the side of that car, slightly changed livery. Mark Scaife, car number 2, tucked in behind, a little bit angry with himself after yesterday's qualifying, wasn't satisfied, made a mistake at the end of it. Track now being cleared as we're set to go V8 Supercar racing for 2005.
This will be fast and frantic. It's a quick race, just 10 laps around Albert Park. We start the year, it's not for championship points, but there is a lot of value to this. Get ready, here at Albert Park, the Qantas V8 Supercars. We're on for 2005. Has Bright got the better jump, or is it Todd Kelly? Bright's got the inside line. It's a drag race. Look at Russell Ingall further back, trying to shuffle his way through. And Cam McConville comes in on the inside of Ambrose. That's good forceful driving, but Kelly, the poleman, holds the lead.
Very close between McConville and Ambrose as they squeeze through turn 1 together, and Kelly's hung on and made it round the outside of Jason Bright through 1 and 2 as they make the run down now to this very tight right-hander. Expect trouble down here.
Big outside move there. Was that from Rick Kelly? Deep on the brakes down into turn 3. We've got one gone around. That's Barguana. There's a concertina effect. And it's one of the HSV dealer team cars in there. Perhaps that was Rick Kelly caught in that. Or Garth Tander, it's obviously a 50% chance, but Todd Kelly leads the way from Jason Bright, Stephen Richards, Mark Scaife. Is this a reinvigorated, a renewed Cameron McConville we're seeing? Great stuff from him and fairly forceful stuff early on.
No doubt that Phil Curtis will make a difference in their engineering. Look for the blue and white cars here, also Stephen Johnson and Glenn Seaton, with West Point backing on those cars for Dick Johnson Racing for 2005. No longer have the primary sponsorship of the Shell Oil Company, although they are still involved. Greg Murphy's been on the radio complaining of a slipping clutch off the line. Sometimes that can be because they're either too cold or too hot. He might have worked a little hard on the warm-up lap, or it might simply not be adjusted correctly.
Meanwhile, look at this. Stephen Richards setting up Jason Bright on the inside. Gotcha. Not quite. Brody's got the return.
Scaife will have a look on the inside here as well, because Jason's been forced very well wide. He's not in a good spot here. They're side by side through 14.
Ambrose is trying to pick up the scraps. He's going on the high side. Look at this, 3 abreast into turn 15. Can't quite all fit there. Ambrose has the switchback. Richards has the switchback on Scaife. Great racing on the opening lap. Bright's been able to skip away. And look at the lead that Todd Kelly's got.
Ambrose ideally positioned when they make the run down here on the inside of Scaife.
Oh, look at Ingle. Ingle squeezing McConville.
Is he ever? Oh, lock brake, trouble. Oh.
That was nicely handled. And it was Rick Kelly, to update you earlier from that incident where one of the Larkham Orcon cars got turned around, because it is Garth Tander who is running 6th.
Todd's cold tyre speed in the opening lap was very impressive, certainly through the first 3 or 4 corners. He just skipped away. It looked like Jason was able to run with him through the first and second corners, but then after that he just bolted, and he's got a good gap at the moment. 2.2 seconds it measured at the end of the first lap, Greg.
Just had a word with Steve Henderson, an engineer formerly with Castrol Perkins Motorsport, and of course Stephen Richards. He's now working on Greg Murphy's car at PWR, just on that slipping clutch nearly. As you say, he complained early on. No complaints since then. Let's hope it's come right.
Temperature's normalised, and we're looking at now at a replay of the start. Look at the squeeze between McConville and Ambrose, and similar between Bright and Todd. And then Todd got position here as they went through turn 2. He had Jason nicely pinched up on the inside. Good bit of driving on the part of both those guys to give each other a bit of space and get the job done. That lock brake that we saw before that looked very ominous was Garth Tander on the run to turn 1 in car number 16 in the HSV dealer team car. And this is the back of the pack strife at turn 3, and there is Rick Kelly coming into contact with Jason Bargwana, who's also got some rear bumper and right rear quarter panel damage. It looked like he had a signature in the driver's door there as well.
So Bright maintains his second. Stephen Richards. Then it's Marcus Ambrose. Scaife, Tander, Ingle, McConville. They're all in there. This is fairly fast pace for the opening laps. Radicic maintains his position for Team Kiwi in the top 10. And Lowndes rounds out the 10. Greg.
They're encouraging Murphy to persist with this clutch problem. It does sound like it is still present in some way. He has been on the radio to the team just describing what it's likely.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't need that at this point in time. He had a good opening practice day yesterday. 1.5 seconds the margin now, Kelly to Bright. So Jason's been able to claw a bit of that back. 59.62 is the fastest lap of the race set by Jason Bright, the first flying lap. Todd's comparative lap was a 2-minute 0.3, so it might take a little bit of time for his tyre pressures to just normalise. A lot more cloud cover now than we had when Formula 1 second practice was on, and accordingly the track temperature has dropped to 23 degrees. The air's still holding at 21, and here is Greg Murphy limping around in the Super Cheap Autos car. Change of team for him. He's with Paul Wheel Racing in 2005, and the new livery on that car. And there's Rick Kelly, car number 15. And he was involved in the drama up there at turn 3. Greg.
They're taking the front left off this car, Neil, and the talk is bent steering arm for Rick Kelly. So he was a bit of a disappointed camper yesterday in his first outing for the now renamed HSV dealer team, because his new teammate Garth Tander had a quicker run, but a bent steering arm is the word from down here.
Frustration for the two who won Bathurst for the last 2 years, Greg Murphy and his new team, Rick Kelly. Frustration on the opening day of this new season, lap 3 of 10. It's going quickly, isn't it? And Todd Kelly is enjoying a fairly healthy lead at the moment over Jason Bright.
You can see we're spooling through the order for you there to give you an idea of all of the people in this field. Remember, there's some pretty big names scattered through the pack, and some of them can be further down than you might otherwise expect. So we're rattling through all of those for you, but the order at the moment is still Kelly, Bright, Richards. That is Stephen, then Marcus Ambrose, Mark Scaife. Gee, that stuff into the second, the last couple of corners on the first lap is what I'm trying to spit out there. Was just fantastic with them getting 3 wide.
Here's Glenn Seaton making a move on Jamie Whincup, executes it nicely. In fact, it's Jason Richards that he gets by. So Glenn Seaton's first drive for the new West Point Racing, of course, Dick Johnson Racing.
Over the summer period, Tasman Motorsport relocated from Sydney to Melbourne. They're now based in a new race team facility over the road from Ron Harrop's engineering business. And they've had the doubly difficult task of not only preparing 2 cars, but settling into a new workshop. They've got some new commercial backing this year as well.
And speaking of Jamie Whincup, of course, his inclusion in Tasman Motorsports, and Jamie's running 16th at the moment, so he's a couple of positions further up the road than his teammate and Glenn Seaton.
New fastest lap of the race is a 58.7 for Marcus Ambrose, who's battling with Stephen Richards at the moment, but the margin first to second, as you can well see at home, is closing down slightly. It's a 1.2 second gap now, Todd Kelly to Jason Bright.
And that's quick going, Neil. That is almost at lap record pace. The lap record holder's Russell Ingall at 1:58.72, and so it's only 600ths off a new lap record. Just over a second between Todd Kelly, Jason Bright. Nothing between these guys, though. Stevie Richards, Marcus Ambrose, Mark Scaife and Tander. Greg.
Well, this time last year, Rick Kelly, you and I had a chat and it cost you a bit of money, so we'll take it easy today. What happened in that incident? It's bent the steering arm by the sound of it.
Yeah, it has. Like we could, if it was for points, we'd probably finish the race, but we're just trying to learn stuff here this weekend, so I'm a bit disappointed that we're stuck here in the pits instead of seeing how the tyre life is. But yeah, dived up underneath Jason Barguana. I'm not sure whether he saw me there. He turned in on me. I was at his front door, unfortunately, and it cost us both a lot of track time and me a little bit of bent steering. So we'll fix it for the next one and see how we go.
Just very, very quickly, this car is the car that was involved in the huge shunt at Bathurst last year, wasn't it? It's spent a lot of time in the workshop.
Yeah, it has. First race out, and it hasn't ended that well, unfortunately. But yeah, would have liked to have been out there with it, but unfortunately, it's not to be.
The Plato car from Bathurst, Lee.
Well, it's a 1.4 second margin now, Kelly to Bright. So Jason's starting to have his hands full with Stephen Richards and Marcus Ambrose applying pressure, and a little bit of it's come off Todd Kelly. Rick Kelly started in 15th position. The fact that he was back there in that sort of mid-pack or worse battle, turn 3 on the opening lap, suggests he got a pretty bad start. And Jason Barguana, who he tangled with, started behind him in position 17, I think it was. No, further back than that. So those guys battling and coming off worse for wear. Disappointing for Rick after so much success last year, but as he quite rightly pointed out, this doesn't count for championship points.
And the interesting thing about these 3 guys, Bright, Richards and Marcus Ambrose, well, of course, one of the last times Jason Bright was in a Ford Falcon, he won Bathurst with the guy who's right behind him, Stephen Richards, in the Pertec Falcon. Ooh. Let's take a look at this. Tony Longhurst at the back of your picture. And that's with Brad Jones.
And fortunate you didn't ultimately find the concrete wall there on the right-hand side. It just kept going further around. I haven't quite got a handle on what part of the track that was. Looks like Bright's under serious pressure now here from Richards, who I caught up with in the midweek. And Stephen, a little bit disappointed because uncharacteristically they went to test at Winton last week and they had an engine problem in the Perkins Motorsport entry, but clearly they shook that off, came down here and straight away on the money in the first practice session yesterday. Richo was well and truly on it and very comfortable. Ooh, Jason Bright's car was sliding quite vigorously there on the run through turn 14, and now Richards up the inside. Ambrose arguing, Scaife in there as well, side by side. Everybody's starting to slide around a little now as the grip goes away, as it typically does on this track with these cars at this point.
Look at this. Russell Ingall is working Garth Tander over big time as well. McConville's got a great view of it, and at this stage of the race, Russell may be growing impatient. We're into the latter half of it now. Tander holds position. Scaife's working Ambrose. Ambrose wants an opportunity on Stephen Richards, and the same goes for Ian Bright.
Jason's got a lot of oversteer in the car, it looks like, at this point. Every time I see little glimpses of it in critical parts of the racetrack, the car is sliding a lot, and he'll come under increasing pressure here from Richards. But Stephen can't get too excited because Marcus will take rapid advantage of that. And you can see with those two arguing, it's just allowed the pressure to come off Bright for a moment. Skaife's in the box seat here if these two get too naughty.
Scaife in the Holden Racing Team Commodore number 2, the teammate to this man, race leader Todd Kelly. Todd's never won here at the Albert Park circuit, and he maintains now a 2.5 second lead. It's grown, it's doubled in fact, over Jason Bright. Now Ambrose has a rearview mirror full of Scaife, and he knows it.
Doesn't look like Mark Scaife's quite got the car pace at the moment. Russell Ingall's buying into that one as well.
Ingall's got the car pace, that's for sure, because not only has he discarded Garth Tander very quickly, he has immediately closed that gap to Mark Scaife. So both Stone Brothers Racing Falcons in good shape. But the lead Falcon, the lead Ford, is Jason Bright.
What's happened to Stephen Richards there?
He's out of the equation, isn't he? He's disappeared.
Yeah, there he is there. So something's gone on in the background there. So there's the margin first to second. It's Todd Kelly, Jason Bright, Marcus Ambrose, Mark Scaife, Russell Ingall, Cam McConville. I think Garth Tander's the next man in the queue. No sign of Stephen Richards in that. So he's taken a little excursion somewhere, perhaps of his own doing, or he might have been helped.
Now that Bright has the pressure off him, this group is growing closely together. Tander and McConville. Lowndes is on there. He's battling with the Rat, Paul Radicic, and then Stephen Richards at the tail of that group. So frustration for Stephen. He needs to try and rebound. Let's see if Bright can eat into that margin, that lead margin of Todd Kelly's, which has now grown, extended to 3.2 seconds.
So all that turned out to be excellent news for Todd Kelly, because as that stoush unfolded between Bright, Richards and Ambrose, they started to cost each other time. Bright broke free of it just a little, and then something's happened to Stephen Richards in all that, and he's still well in the thick of it here at the moment.
This is good racing here between Lowndes, Radicic and Stephen Richards. Lowndes has been working the back of the Team Kiwi Racing Commodore lap after lap, and the 888 Better Electrical Falcon can't find a way through, and nor can Russell Ingall yet on Mark Scaife. It'll be interesting to see what this new drive, new team does. Oh, Ambrose gets sideways for Garth Tander.
The temptation in that part of the circuit is to try and get through there absolutely flat as you upshift and approach turn 9, but as the tyres go away, you can't quite do it sometimes. You can almost do it, but if the grip just goes away or the balance goes away a little front to rear, you can't quite keep these cars glued up.
Gotcha. Ambrose around the outside of Jason Bright. We saw the pace on Russell Ingall's car. Marcus Ambrose has equalled that. He almost set a new lap record, and now he finds himself in second place with 3.5 laps to go. Darryl.
Just a quick update, what happened to Stephen Richards there. Apparently the team mentioned that he's having brake problems, so obviously pedal dramas there for the Castrol team.
And you can see on the left-hand side of the Jason Bright car, the passenger side perspex or windows coming adrift there. It's a bit askew, and looks like Jason's car's just sliding a little bit. You can see the body language in that car this year. It's a lot stiffer than this time last year. There's a bit of perspex. It's just popped out there, so hopefully he won't have to come to the pit lane to have that.
3 to go, Marcus. 3.
3 to go is the call to Marcus Ambrose. Has he got anything for Todd Kelly, who's now got a 4-second lead?
Remember that Todd Kelly cleaned up in Darwin last year. He was on top of the game there and was very strong, and this will be a great start to the 2005 season for him.
There's Greg Ritter for Ford Performance Racing. Good start to Greg Ritter's first full-time season in the main game in the V8 Supercars, and Ritter sits back in 11th position, so both FPR Falcons in the top 11. That's encouraging for a new season. Meanwhile, Radicic is maintaining this pressure. He's handling it. He's had a 888 Ford in his rearview mirror the entire race in Craig Lowndes, and he's held him at bay. Richards can't find a way through on Lowndes either. Replay here. And Anthony Tratt locks up, runs a little wide.
It's so easy to do down there. There's just a couple of unsettling bumps, as we mentioned during the Formula One practice session. And if you just outbrake yourself slightly, there's often no way out of that one. Greg?
Guys, I guess what makes that performance by Greg Ritter all the more outstanding is that they weren't able to shake that brand new car down or test on Monday at Phillip Island. They went down with the car that Jason Bright is running. They shared it, both Greg Ritter and Jason Bright. This is a bit of a break from the traditional sort of roll cage design that FPR has had over the last few cars they've built for Greg Ritter. So it's, I guess, real-time testing, and he's doing a good job.
Well, he turned up. He's always been a regular driver for the endurance races, hasn't he, after coming out of the junior open wheeler categories, but never landed a full-time drive in the main V8 Supercar Championship. This is his year. Great guy. Had to be a plasterer Monday to Friday, and I said to him once it was announced, good news, huh? No more labouring. He said, you bet.
Well, labouring of a different kind. It's a different kind of pressure in this business. And Stephen's off the road again in the...
oh, that was earlier. That was earlier.
Yeah, I shouldn't say again. That was the incident, apparently.
Here we go. Scaife on Bright. Gotcha. Inside 2 laps to go. And the HRT team principal moves one step ahead of Jason Bright, who's falling behind as this race grows older. He was challenging for the lead at the beginning. Now he slipped back behind Scaife, and the lead mate stays at 4 seconds for Todd Kelly. What an opening performance.
Both Todd and Marcus are in the low 59s at the moment, 59.2 and 59.1. Jason Bright's time by comparison is a 2-minute even. Scaife's a 59.7. So he's lost, anywhere between half, 3/4 of a second, which is starting to hurt. Ingle now sweating on him and will invariably get him.
Yeah, Bright's under attack here. Ingle looks at the inside. Will Bright give him room? He does. That avoids unnecessary contact, and Cameron McConville comes through. So too does Tander. So Bright's lost 4 positions in quarter of a lap.
It's a momentum thing, a freight train in V8 Supercar. If you get out of rhythm and your car's just off in a little area, it doesn't take very much. And if you open the door for one, which he didn't really have any choice then because Russell was coming no matter what, then the rest of them will all take obvious advantage. Very frustrating when that happens because it takes your momentum away. It takes a little while to gather that back up again. You tend to then look in the mirror and say, right, where are we? What's the happy pace for my car? And Jason will know what that is. He'll try and get back into that rhythm quickly without overusing the rear tyres if that is his issue. It might not be, but it looked as though the car was just sliding in a couple of parts around the circuit where I'm sure he wouldn't want it to.
Tander on McConville. Tander on McConville. Comes through. He's overdone it. He passes his old teammate and his old team car and ends up in the gravel trap.
Yeah, he was past him for about 1/1000th of a second, and then that was it.
And Smart heads up driving. There we've lost Lowndes also. Lowndes is gone. In too deep to turn 14 and is beached.
On the northwestern to western horizon here, the weather's caving in quickly. They were forecasting showers in Melbourne in the latter afternoon. Won't have any impact on this motor race. What it will do, though, Lee, is if it does rain, it will cleanse the circuit. Not good news for the Formula One teams approaching official qualifying tomorrow. Here's the replay of Garth Tander down the inside at turn 13. A pretty brave move, pinches the rear brakes at the critical moment, slips off into the kitty litter, and there she beaches. And then moments later, in all the wheeling and dealing here, Lowndes and Richards crisscrossing. Actually, it wasn't a lock brake. It was just simply got out, swerved across the road and got onto the marbles on the outside where the white line was painted, a little bit of grass, and CL goes round.
And look at that. That's what 3.8 seconds looks like between Todd Kelly, Marcus Ambrose. It's Holden Racing Team, Stone Brothers Racing, Holden Racing Team, Stone Brothers Racing. Is that a forecast for the year ahead? Possibly.
Like,
you have to say so.
Like you had a bit of a stutter there. I wasn't sure whether you were stuck on the one spot. I was going to hit you back.
But a great performance. So you've got me going now. Great. Terrific performance from Todd Kelly, opening the season. Great way to celebrate the birth of his first child. Marcus Ambrose got married in the off-season. So much happening in personal lives as well, besides the business aspect of V8 Supercar racing. And Todd is on his way home. Todd Kelly, that is.
Standing yellow flag in the background there, indicating that Garth is down there in the gravel, off to the left. Then a waved yellow in the danger zones where Craig Lowndes is also off here at turn 14. Beautiful rhythm here from Todd Kelly. He's got a nice margin. It looked like he was coming under pressure on laps 2 and 3, but the car settled down beautifully, and he'll be very impressed with this and obviously happy with the new car. 3.8 seconds the margin back to Marcus the last time through. Here's the checkered flag.
First win since Hidden Valley last year. Well done, and it's his first at Albert Park. Todd Kelly takes out race 1 of the Qantas V8 Supercars ahead of the reigning champion Marcus Ambrose. Mark Scaife starts the year on a positive. and Russell England for 4th, ahead of Jason Bright in his first drive for Ford Performance Racing. Top 5, solid start. And you have to say congratulations too to Cameron McConville for in the Repco Valvoline Gary Rogers Commodore. Brand new car, fresh approach for Cameron this year, and a great result ahead of Radicic in his first drive for Team Kiwi. Stevie Richards hung on for 8th, ahead of Greg Ritter in 9th. Well done, young Greg. And Stephen Johnson, a very solid performance for West Point Racing to edge his way into the top 10. And of course, you start where you finish. It rolls on from race to race. So that puts many of these guys in a strong position for our second 19-lap race tomorrow. Stick around, more from Albert Park when we return.